off again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you.
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters, and to coin a phrase, good evening from the Champions League. Stu.
Good evening.
Good evening from the Champions League officially.
How long have you been saying that, Stu?
Oh, about 5 months.
Never in doubt.
Never in doubt, no. And good old Paul Gallant there in the paper tonight, online on the Chronicle. One of our faithful viewers in the chat has donated his money that he made off his £10 bet for Newcastle to finish in the top 4 place to the food bank. So well done, Paul.
Bear in mind, Steve, I had 20 quid on at 9-1 at the start of the season. I put it on the group.
Yes, correct. Yeah. You've taken over Keith's crown for top predictor. There's no doubt about that, Stu. It's not about one-off games. It's about the long haul, Stu.
You'll be biting now, don't you?
Yeah, I'm sure you will be at some point. But as always, we've got an hour to chat about Newcastle United. Apologies for all the confusion today. We're going to have 2 shows tonight, but because of me having to pop out, we didn't get the opportunity to do that. So Liam is going to be on tomorrow as well. We'll also have Superman and Gibbo at some point tomorrow. Times to be confirmed with everybody, but we will have 2 shows tomorrow. Don't forget as well, on this show, you get a chance to ask George. So anyone's got a question, we'll ask them in the second half of the show. Steve, I can see it underneath your name there, in the Champions League, mate. How good is that? And take us back to Monday night, because, Newcastle United did have to take on Leicester, fighting for their lives as well. People predicting 2s and 3s. I went for a rather conservative 2-0 win, but it was a 0-0 draw. Correct result, right result. I felt Newcastle probably could have probably had a hatful on another day, but when you can't score, when you hit the bar, you hit the post, you're not getting the look. It's against you. You take whatever you can get, and Leicester came intent on getting a point at least, and they got it. So, what was your view, Stephen, on the game, and how did you feel at the final whistle?
Well, obviously the final whistle. Good evening from the Champions League from me. We're being requested to all say that as we speak, so I have to fulfil my obligation. Obviously very relieved at the end, but I was talking to George in the green room before we started and saying, in the old days we've seen that game before, total domination by us and not sneak a goal and the opponent sneak a one at the end. Under the old regimes that used to happen. Well, obviously thanks to Nick Pope, it didn't happen this time. But it was a game that I think we went into very optimistically after the Brighton game. I think of the 2 games coming up at home, we expected the Brighton one to be the more difficult, and it didn't turn out that way. So I think we had even more confidence against Leicester. You see the team, all right, we lost Joe Linton, but we got Longstaff back, and I thought he had a great game. I watched him more than I normally do, I think, and I thought there was 2 Longstaffs on the pitch at one time. You just saw him everywhere in popping up and helping the midfield, and it was one-way traffic as we saw. And I said to my mate with us, I says, I think the possession's about 95-5, and I think at one time it was over 90 the possession, with just total domination, but everything was going. They were encouraging us to do it the same way because they had crowded 9 players around the penalty area, left the space wide for Trippier to have the ball as often as he can, ping crosses in, and big centre halves were just getting it away, and we just didn't get the breaks. Hit the post twice, obviously, so we did get 1 or 2 chances to score, but it looked like one of those nights where we weren't going to do it. And then obviously in the end, we sat back and started passing it around as if we were just happy to have the point, and that's when we nearly got the sucker punch. But obviously it was we set out with only a target of 1 point. Obviously we'd like to have won convincingly, but we got the job done, and joyous scenes at the end, and relief and great happiness of what has been a fantastic season. And it was great to see everybody on the pitch and all enjoying it together. And I think, and also it's been pointed out that not a single person went on the pitch from the fans. Not like Man City, who all massed on the pitch and they had to get the stewards and police to to take them back before they could have their celebration. Not a single person went on the pitch, so that's great credit to everybody at Newcastle.
Yes, unlike Manchester City, for
Manchester
example.
City, yeah, exactly.
Horrendous scenes down there, to be honest. There seemed to be more on the pitch than there was in the stands, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, Newcastle fans behaving as they do. Dave, I will quickly go through it because it won't take as long. Can you go through the email about tickets and simplify? Okay, this email's come to most season ticket holders today. Supporters have got to ensure that their name and their identity registered to the relevant season ticket account corresponds with the person using it to enter St James's Park next season, when there will be heightened checks. Basically, go into your account if you've got a season ticket and make sure that your name is correct, your address is correct, your date of birth is correct, your email and your phone number are correct. It's as simple as that. Because they will probably do sporadic checks now to make sure that you won't put a season ticket on to somebody else to go and watch the game. Now, I know that's a bit of a nightmare for people, but that is what they are doing. That is the main reason they are doing it. They are obviously going to bring in a resell option as part of the new digital service that they're going to offer for the season tickets, which will mean that you can resell your ticket via the club. What the costs of that are, how it's going to work, I don't know yet, but that is what's going to happen. There is a penalty period. You've got to do this change by the 31st of, and then you have to submit them via the form, which is within the email that you've been sent. Okay. Any issues, then you need to contact the club directly if you struggle with technology, etc. It's going to improve the stadium entry, they think. Updating personal details, they say, is just the first step in the introduction of the new digital ticketing platform for next season. The digital ticketing platform is going to ensure a more efficient entry to St James's using smartphone ticketing and turnstiles, and will improve sustainability by eliminating the use of paper and other resources for physical tickets. Now, I know this isn't going to please some people, and we'll probably discuss it after we've spoken to the lads about qualifying for the Champions League. We had a discussion about this last week. We were ahead of the game. They're talking about creating a safer St James's Park with it. It basically will ensure only those eligible to use season tickets are able to access the stadium, ensuring the potential for ticket touting and system abuse are minimised. And that's it. It's as simple as that, Dave. So I'm sure we'll discuss it throughout the summer. A lot of people are going to have lots of things to say. I've already seen social media kicking off a little bit about it. But George,
yes.
Evening from
the Champions League, confirmed Champions League position. I mean, for somebody who's been around as long as I have, Monday night was an absolute joy. And in football terms, it was as well, because it was obvious from Leicester's team selection. When you put your two most expensive and most attacking players on the bench and replace them with two defenders, you know what the outcome's going to be, is they're going to be 10 men in their half all the time. And fair play to Dean Smith, he played his tactics very well indeed. We should have won it by a hatful, but it was one of those games where I think if we'd played all night, we might not have scored. But what a joy to see some of the play. As Steve's already said, to see Longstaff back, and not just back, but at his best. And see Miggy getting some of his touches in, and others as well. No, it was a joy, and the outcome even more so. What was also interesting was that, of course, after half time, Smith changed their tactics and then swapped things around, because he'd taken a chance to get a point, but for the last 20 minutes he took a chance to try and get 3 points. And I've got to applaud him for that in this position we're in, because it could have resulted us in getting a hatful, but it didn't. But what it did do is it gave Nick Pope an opportunity to earn his new contract, because that save at the end was a save. It was going in clear as night, as full as day. It was going in, and he got down and got it, and that was fantastic as well. So from a pleasure point of view as a supporter, from a tactical football point of view, somebody's interested in football, that was great as well. But what a joy. And at the end, the scenes at the end, to see the owners, the players rejoicing with everybody. and I applaud what Steve just said about supporters. We've seen times even at St James's when the pitch would have been absolutely swamped with fans, but everybody did as they were told and stayed where they were, waved their flags and all the rest of it, and just enjoyed it all. So it made it a really miserable night. It was absolutely fantastic, and you just can't wait to see who we're drawn against, who we're going to play, and all the rest of it. Because I think the people coming to St James's Park will have more to worry about than the other way around, in my view, with the unknown quantity. Remember how people reacted to it getting into the Fairs Cup, because it was through the back door. But the teams that came to St James's Park didn't find it easy, and I don't think teams coming now will find it easy. In fact, probably were more so difficult, because the atmosphere is just second to none. So, no, great night. Couldn't be happier and feel involved and all the rest of it. So, I'm trying to think. This is my 76th year as a supporter. So, it can't come better than that as far as I'm concerned. And what a time if you're a youngster to be starting to support Newcastle United. Absolutely impressive, absolutely great. So, yeah, well done, everybody, and congratulations to everybody at the club. And it was so good. And can I say that the people have cottoned on the fact that I can't see very well at the moment and to get out. So I've been missing it in real life. But some of the messages and videos I've been sent by people have been very considerate. So thank you all very much. I've really enjoyed that as well. Particularly laughed with the three girls who I love dearly, KG, Sav and Kendall. Some of their stuff is a great joy when you think. I go back the days when women wouldn't get in St James's Park, I'm afraid. But now that they're a good part of it, and I've enjoyed what they've been sending us as well. So, yeah, fantastic time, fantastic. Couldn't be better. Couldn't be happier.
Okay, Neil.
Good evening from the Champions League. Sorry. Yeah, or from the Champions League proper, even.
Should have
Sorry, lads. Well,
I've
got it in my little subtitles,
Yeah,
I did kind of think it through. I was talking to Stu yesterday. I went to bed flat Tuesday. After all the positivity and after all the trying to keep everything together and keep everything focused, it was kind of like, right, we're there now. What now? It's still sort of sinking in a little bit for me, I think. Even on Monday night, after the everything had sort of like gone off in Brooklyn, I took myself off somewhere else in the end with my headphones just to try and spend a little bit of time on my Todd with a pint and just really genuinely let it sink in. It's been a hell of a season, and we've sort of seen the growth and the development of the squad and the team and the club as a whole. And now this gives us a real opportunity to build that I think, in all honesty, for all we might not have expected it, we've 100% thoroughly deserved it, no matter how many whinging scousers want to write to the PGM all, and how many people want to complain about things and whinge about it all, and how many times Spurs fans want to be down and miserable about it all. I'm sorry, we're there because we deserved it, and we deserved it over the whole season. And it really is the sky's the limit from here. It gives us a real opportunity to springboard the club forward in not just the playing terms, but off the field and beyond. And it's that sort of development and those opportunities that really are, I think, still genuinely sinking in for me a little bit.
Mute.
It sounds like you hit the kind of wall that I hit when Newcastle were taken over, I guess. You know what I mean? It's very similar, Mitch. Very similar.
Was also, I couldn't work it out. And I spoke to Stu briefly about it. About why the hell do I feel so gone? And I think it's just the energy. that were put in all the way. It's the realization, right, we're actually there. Still really hasn't fully sunk in.
Okay, Al-Walid.
Good evening from Champions League space. And also happy birthday to Sir Steve Wilkinson.
Thank you very much already.
Yes,
Nice
big happy return to Steve. He's had a bit of a trip away as well. Hope you had a good time, mate. Well,
Yes.
chat in the green room beforehand, but Steve Wilkinson's celebrating, so get you.
Old
get
man,
your
old man.
whiskey drunk. That's what we've got to say.
Yes, plenty of bottles. So when we win the Champions League, we'll have a big party.
You're looking well for 40, Steve.
Exactly.
So yes, Al-Walid, how did you feel, mate? You were the one who predicted Newcastle would stay up last season, and probably a little less confident, I guess, about Champions League, but you certainly felt would give it a good go this season. I think you felt Newcastle.
Actually, Steve, I predict many times that we will go to Champions League
this season.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to watch the start of the show. Make sure you're right, mate.
I will bring you, and also I make a video. I will send it to the WhatsApp group.
Okay, right, all right. Send that over then, Al. I do not that I disbelieve you. Okay, so how do you feel now that it's true?
It's amazing feeling, and we attached to Champions League since I was in intermediate school, and it's my favorite champion. For me, it's like World Cup, so it's nice it's great to have this participation very soon after the takeover.
Yeah, amazing, to be honest. From our perspective, to be back in the Champions League is absolutely fantastic. Kev, good evening, mate.
Evening, lads.
How are you? You've got to say, you probably didn't get the memo, but you've got to say good evening from.
Oh, my bad. Good afternoon from the Champions League places. I'll say that.
Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. Where were you? Were you sitting in your usual place watching the game? How did you feel about Monday's performance?
Hold on, there's a plane going over. No, I was laid up on my sofa a little bit sick, so I had to sit and watch it without moving too much. But I tried to get it, try to get up and down as much as I can. I haven't been feeling too great, but yeah, so I was laid up on the sofa watching it. To be honest, it wasn't in my normal dwelling hole. But yeah, it was a indifferent performance. But the point, the result really was irrespective of what it mattered at the end of the game, essentially. And look, that's what we went into it knowing that what was needed, and that's what we got.
Yeah, fantastic. And getting back into the Champions League, just seeing the players, seeing everyone's faces was, and seeing that, the owners, the manager, and just the relief on everyone's face that we've finally done it was fantastic, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And, it was quite emotional, from my perspective, being not there or, lost my dad. I'd went to travel across Europe with him and he's no longer with us. So it was quite an emotional one. I think I actually broke down, to be fair, when I just had a moment to myself of like, we've actually got there again. And, in homage to him and, the memories I've had as a young supporter back then, 18 years old when I was traveling Europe. And now I could have that opportunity with my son, yes, from afar. But it was just a wonderful evening, and seeing all the kiddos running around, kicking the snot out of each other with a ball and stuff, and the family environment, what Eddie Howe's created. And the unity what he's brought back to the city and the club again, it was just wonderful to see. And the atmosphere from the TV perspective, what I heard was second to none.
Okay, Stu.
Good evening from the Champions League. Right, this is going to take a while because similar to Kev, I was speaking about it before we started the show. It was the first time in living memory I watched Newcastle sober. And don't think I did when we were in Saudi watching the Chelsea game, but that's another story. The reason behind that is I had food poisoning, really bad. After we did the professionals on Sunday, I went to bed and I was really ill. So it was quite a novel experience watching Newcastle in the sober. But of course, I was ecstatic and immensely proud. And something I didn't say to Mitch when we were speaking, we had a good conversation on Tuesday about it. He's covered his emotions, but that seemed to hit me straight away. And I think that's, as he says, it's all the energy that goes into it. And it's I think I morphed it anyhow for a second, because although I should have been enjoying it more, I was like, I had to write it down. I started writing notes and I couldn't stop, so I've got them in front of me. I wrote, what next? Who will we get drawn with? Who can we sign? Can we at least replicate the top 4 next season? We have to acknowledge that we overachieved massively and that Liverpool hugely underachieved. And it's conceivable after Sunday, they only finished 1 point behind us. And all this reality started and the fact I hadn't been well all day. And then with the extra games next season, what if we only get the top 6? Will that be seen as a decline in our advance, or will it just be solidifying our advance? And it's probably similar to the wave of emotion, Steve, you had, as you mentioned there after the takeover, where we'll probably feel the same again when we actually do win a trophy. It's like you've wanted it for so much, and when you get it, it's like, it's not the funds in the chase, but it's like, what happens now? And then it's a new reality, a new target gets set, and your mind has to reset. But then, because I was ill, I rose like Lazarus off my sick bed, and then I got consumed by positivity. Bear in mind, I hadn't eaten anything all day until I had a banana at 9 o'clock. So if anyone knows how I like to eat and drink, that's quite an achievement in itself. So then what I started writing down was, this is just the beginning. I'm going to apologise, there will be a swear word. We have focused, devoted, ambitious and rich as fuck owners. I might have had sickness and diarrhea for the last 2 days, but the big 6 have now got it permanently. This is not by chance. We have solid foundations. We have ambitious, expectant and financially capable owners. We have arguably Britain's best manager and one of Europe's most coveted. Our owners trust him and will provide accordingly. And for the first time in 2 decades, since I was in my 20s, we have Champions League football. What was there to moan about? What is it to worry about? We are massive. We are Newcastle United. This is just the beginning and we're here to stay. And then I went to bed. I said went, not wet.
I thought you said went. Fantastic. I mean, look, for me, it's just great to be back in the Champions League. I can't wait to hear the music played at the ground and who we draw and whether it's a group of death, whether it's, an easy group with one big team in it other than us. I'm not bothered. We're there, we've done it, and we've given ourselves something to smile about at the end of the season. We've got to a cup final, and we'll discuss this next week when we'll have a season review show. But fantastic, great stuff, and it doesn't matter how you do, how we did against Leicester. For me, it's about those games before, and we've done really well. Fantastic, very happy, and let's just remember that this is just the beginning. It's not the end. This isn't, as good as it gets. It's going to get better over the course of the next few months for us and years. It's transfer window opening, and who will bring in, which players will go. So we've got a full summer to look forward to, and lots to discuss on NUFC matters. And Tom Dixon was in earlier with that. Premier League confirmed this summer's transfer window will be open Wednesday, the 14th of June, till Friday, the 1st of September. At 11 o'clock. So, we will be discussing all of those through the summer. And Roger?
That could be an interesting Amigos evening.
Oh, definitely could be, yeah. Definitely, 100%. And Roger, we will be discussing this on Friday. I think we've seen a lot of speculation, lots of stuff flying around, certain journalists putting stuff out there and, putting their careers on it, that it's all been sorted and it's one particular company. But speculation, we'll leave that to those who speculate. We'll leave the lads to have a look and a conversation with their people in the Middle East, and maybe we'll have a clearer idea by the time Friday's show comes around, or maybe the professionals at the weekend. Okay, we are going to do the ads now, and then we'll be back with Ask George.
A big thanks to all our sponsors: Skips and Bins, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, website skipsandbins.com, easy contract free and pay-as-you-go waste collection. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's sauces, which are handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at their website, mrvickies.co.uk. If you want to place an order, call 01768 210
102 or email info@mrvickies.co.uk. A big thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the video side of things, and to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle, and the guys who run our website, NUFCmatters.com. If you like the channel, please hit the like underneath the video. It helps us grow. And click share and share to your other social media. If you want to help us financially, please click join. And there's a range of different packages and it explains how you can do that. If you want to become a cult member and receive these goodies, a scarf, a pen, and a cup, and a membership card, and entry into the monthly draw, for a one-off fee of £25, simply go to NUFCmatters.com and find cult membership. If you've got a smartphone, put it over this QR code now. It'll take you straight there. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast providers. And we also support the food bank on this channel. The Matchday Bucket helps you donate virtually. Go to nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk to find out more. We've got some events coming up over the course of the next 12 months. An evening with John Anderson takes place at the Tynemouth Surf Cafe. Only limited tickets available. 13th of June. Go to their website to buy tickets. Bend it like Bobby. Cometh the hour, cometh the man. And just after the hour, the man did cometh at the double, as it was time to bend it like Bobby. It's a comedy play. It's a rehearsed reading by Jim Orr. It features myself and a few other cast members. Friday the 16th of June. Tickets on sale at newcastlelegends.com and they're only £5. An evening with Frank Clark. Well, this is our Christmas due. Thursday, December the 7th. Tickets are £15 from NUFCmatters.com at the Tyneside Irish Centre. And a big one for the new year, January the 25th. Keegan, Waddle and Beardsley and special guests back together, the class of 1984 at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House on Westgate Road. Tickets available direct from the venue. If you like T-shirts and you want a few for the summer, get yourself to NUFCmatters.com. The Isaac T-shirt is proven very popular.
Okay, it is time for Ask George. Hey, George. Question for George. Oh, I'm getting a bad echo there. Somebody has headphones out. Is it Albert? It's not. Is it Stu? Somebody can the lads mute the microphone? I'm going to take Stu out. Right. No. It's still not the problem. Can everybody mute themselves apart from George? Could be a technical issue. Is everybody muted?
Well, I'll mute myself.
George, it might be you.
Hell.
Is it George? No, it's not. This is a bit surreal, this, folks. Right, something's changed there. Can everybody... yeah, that's fine. Okay, George, unmute yourself.
I'm unmuted. That's fine.
Perfect. George, I don't know what's happening there. Somebody somewhere created an issue, and I'm not sure how it happened, but I think we're back to normal now. So, Tim asked, question for George. As we're in the Champions League, do you prefer a continental breakfast or an English breakfast?
Old-fashioned English breakfast, I'm afraid. I don't mind a continental if it's an option, but old-fashioned English breakfast. The only thing I don't want on my English breakfast is hash browns. So I'll have an extra egg for my hash browns.
Oh, you create a debate with that one now. 100%. Okay, ask George, says Barry, who would George say is Newcastle's best ever captain?
Oh, I've got to say it's an obvious answer. It's Joe Harvey. I mean, he became the manager on the pitch, and it was a great thing to behold. and he protected these players on the field. I look very like the way our lads protect each other on this team. That's what I like about this team. I mean, Bobby Mitchell was great winger, but he used to get kicked all over the place. And sometimes Joe Harvey would swap places with Bobby Mitchell just to give the full-back some of his own back. And then that settled things down, and Bobby Mitchell got on with his game, and the full-back was limping for a little while. Joe Harvey did everything. He managed the dressing room and all the rest of it. Yeah, very like, as I say, what's happening today. So Joe Harvey for me.
Okay. Tom says, ask George, who would you like to have in the Champions League?
Oh, let's see them all. I want to. If we're going to do anything, let's do it against the big uns. And I want to see Barca, Real Madrid, you name it, coming to St James's Park, because they won't enjoy it. It'd be like the Fairs Club. It would be a big surprise to them. And so let's do it properly. And if we've got to going to do anything in it, we've got to face these teams. So let's face them and take what comes. As you said earlier, Steve, if it's a group of death, it's a group of death, and just let's get on with it.
Yeah, 100%. Next question, David says, ask George, where in the ground was the away support in the 60s or 70s? My recall was it was the corner at the Gallagher end of the Popular side.
It was, yeah. It was... Yes, it was. That's where most of the away fans were. But of course, there was more mixing in those days than there was than there is now. It wasn't unusual to see groups of away fans in amongst the home fans. But what you just said is right. That's where the traditional corner was for the away fans to congregate. Okay,
Donald says, who's the best goalkeeper that you've seen at Newcastle?
Oh, Ronnie Simpson. I'm stuck on that one because I like Pavel and I like Shea Given, but all-round goalkeeper who didn't have the protection that goalkeepers have got now. Ronnie Simpson, the cat, he was just immense. He wasn't a big guy, not for a goalkeeper. But he was very agile and athletic and just a joy to behold at times. And did lots of unusual training. He did ballet classes so he could spring higher and further and all that sort of thing. But a remarkable goalkeeper. And don't forget that Charlie Mitten got rid of him from Newcastle because Charlie thought he was too small. He played for another 10 years. He got another 10 Scottish caps and he won the Champions Cup with Celtic. So, Ronnie Simpson was great. Yeah.
Okay, Ray says, can you remember a more better and more optimistic time for Newcastle fans in all the years that you've been associated with the club?
The honest answer is no, not compared to this. I mean, when we perhaps I was a bit young. There was lots of optimism around in the 50s because it seemed to be winning the cup every other year, and that was good. But behind the scenes, there was still some weird things happening off the pitch and on the pitch with the team, and so on. And even later on, it was the same. But I've never seen. Never felt a more together feeling for everybody, players, staff, owners, and the city. There's that kind of... There used to be the old saying in the cup days that when Newcastle played well, production in the shipyards went up 20%. Well, at the moment, if there was production, it would be up 50% because people are so optimistic. I think I said the other night, going to the match now, and it's a while since I've been able to go, is an occasion again, and that's where I like it. It's not just about the game and winning a game. It's about meeting your mate, meeting your friends, having a chat about football and all the rest of it. And it's as good now as it's ever been.
Okay, great stuff. Great questions. We'll have more Ask George next week. Yes, Tim, special mention has to be for War Flags. The display was unreal. Yeah, 100%. It was fantastic. And they've done a great job all season. Well done to them. Gary, thank you very much for your kind words. Even though panel, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for all the laughs and the crack over the months. Thanks again, lads. Thank you for tuning in as well, mate. It's a pleasure to have you on board. BT, yes, this didn't go unnoticed. Newcastle have recruited Claire Burrows as a recruitment operations manager, leaving Leicester after 4 years at the club. So another addition to the backroom staff, which is good news for Newcastle, somebody who has done well in the past at Leicester. We're led to believe. Tell has a comment about the tickets. He says the new ticket situation is a nightmare. He says, I've got 4 season tickets, 2 in my daughter's name, 2 in mine. The new system doesn't allow 2 people to enter in my name. I've had for 43 years. It's going to create a bit of a problem, this. And I'd love to know who really is spoken to the club about this. I presume the trust, because they seem to be in favour. I know they've got to speak to the trust. Premier League regulations stipulate that. But I guess fan consultation, they just seem to be rushing this through a bit, Steve. I'm not sure whether this has been, whether this has been looked at, whether they're using a different system. But that email today, I mean, it makes sense to me. I understand it. I understand. I went to the Beyonce gig last night, and it was digital tickets. There was no paper tickets for that gig. But from my point of view, it's going to happen at some point. And Newcastle want to be at the forefront of changing things, I guess. And there is going to be teething problems with this, Steve, I think. Yeah.
Well, I hope they've got a decent IT person or a systems person in amongst it. Now, I would like to think they have, because when I used to work, I worked in IT, and in one of the situations, whenever you put a system in anywhere, it was always the what ifs. What if this doesn't happen? What if that? And you had to build that into the system, whether it was a computerized alternative to a fact or some process anyway that would take care of the contingency. And I hope they've thought that through, because you're getting to a lot of older people who don't have a appropriate phone. You've got to have a smartphone to be able to use the sort of thing that are talking about doing digital, and not everybody has. There's a lot of people still wandering around with a Nokia 5310s or whatever they were. That it makes phone calls, and that's all they want to do with it. So there's a problem there. The issue from my point of view, I saw the email. I haven't opened it and gone into the details of it yet. Obviously, going in a wheelchair, I have somebody with me all the time, but I hope they don't want me to name who that person is, because it changes. It doesn't have to be the same person, and there are circumstances when it cannot be the same person. We had to name in the days, if you remember, when COVID was on, when we first started going back. You had to name because you were having to show that everybody was vaccinated and things. And I did have to give a name then, but the person who was named at that time doesn't go with me now. So I'm hoping that isn't going to cause a problem for me anyway. But I think it's, as I say, I just hope that they've got a contingency plan that is easy to operate. That situation where that guy said there, that's the custom and practice that's gone on for a long time, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's no law that says you can't have 2 season tickets. But I suppose there is if you're occupying 2 tickets and 2 seats in the same name, and that doesn't fit their law. But I hope they've got a way around it.
Yeah, Kevin, change to the ticketing system. We heard about it a couple of weeks back, I think, and we discussed it on the fans forum. But it's now cast in stone. Things are changing. There's going to be pros and cons.
Of course, but this is the way the world is. Over here, you can't get in without an e-ticket. That's just how it goes. If you haven't got the e-ticket or the season ticket card, what they have is a Man United fan or season ticket holder, you can't get in. But those can be transferred in between, and as a sell-on value and this and that, or a resaleable ticket, what they call it. But it's just how it's going to go, and nothing really the can do about it. You can do something about it, yes, but at the same time, that's it. Like I said, that's the way the world's moving. Again, I haven't seen the email. I've kind of heard about it. I've got 2 season tickets, not in my name, but in my mom's name. So, but there's still pretty much my season tickets because my mom works there. So again, she had to do that based on my dad's death and things like that. And I'm no longer available for the game, so she had to pick up that baton, if you will. But Yeah, so I can see there's going to be a few teething problems with it, obviously. But, you know, we're going to have to, again, like, coin the phrase, embrace the change a little bit and get used to the fact of international travellers, people from different parts of the world, different parts of England, wherever they're coming from. That'll be the easiest source to get into the stadium. So yeah, again, it's just embracing the change. You know, they have to make that decision the way the world goes forward. You know, we'll have to move forward with the times.
Sad news there, Tom. Thanks for that. Queen of rock and roll, Tina Turner, has passed away today, aged 83. Hell of a singer. Certainly the Queen of rock and roll. There's no doubt about that. Tickets, George. Yeah, it's going to be a nightmare. This I've got a feeling, George. You know, they're trying to do it for the better of, you know, the better of the club, and I don't know how you feel about it. How do you feel, George?
Obviously, well, I'm going to have to look at it very carefully because, as you know, I operate my ticket and Neil's, so we're going to have to get that together. I'm sure they've got the right details, but of course, to make things easier, I pay for them both, so it looks like they're both mine. But I'm sure we'll be able to sort it out. I don't think it's impossible. And as Kevin says, it's the way of the world, unfortunately or fortunately. And it will reduce in other ways opportunities for people to scam their way in and this sort of thing. So in that sense, you've got to be for it and just got to make sure you understand what's happening and find your way around it. Because there are things that obviously I do with my ticket and Neil's, which it looks like this would make it difficult to do, but I'm not sure it'll entirely stop all of that. But the important thing is that the tickets will still be with people who are okay. So it's, you know, Kevin's right. It's the way of the world. It's how we're going. We just got to get used to it and make sure we're capable of doing it. That's all.
I guess the problem we're going to have here is that if, for example, you want to sell it to your brother who hasn't got a season ticket, you're not going to be able to do it.
No.
That's going to be the problem. And you may want to take your daughter to the match for the first time or your son to the match for the first time.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to do that. So unless they've got a way of selling that ticket to a relative,
an individual,
then you are going to be sitting next to a stranger. It's going to be interesting. This is not going to be something which is going to go without a bump in the road, I don't think.
No.
But again, we're going to have to wait and see how it develops.
I think it'll be like a third party. Sorry, it'll be like a third party. It'll be run through the club like a third party resale, and then it'll be all run through the club. But again, that's opening a big can of worms of how that's going to work and who's going to operate that system.
Yeah.
But, sorry.
No, I mean, no need to apologize. I think, it's going to be, as I say, it's going to stop certain ways of doing things, and that's it. And I mean, those people who can't get a ticket for love nor money, those people, for example, who paid for membership schemes last year and didn't get a ticket, and are saying, well, I'm not going to bother having a membership now. We'll probably be feeling a bit happier because, you know, that means that the resale ticket there'll be a lot of them for certain games and people will get an opportunity to buy tickets. That's the problem. We only have a certain amount of tickets which go on general sale. So if there are another 1,000 people who can't make the match because it's their birthday, it's their wedding anniversary, or they're ill, then they're going to have to use the resale system, and that means that there'll be 2,000 tickets available. So that's the way the club are looking at it, but I don't think they're looking at it from that other point of view where, you know, you know, if you want to try and progress your family members, you can get them to come. But yeah, is there a right answer? Is there a wrong answer? Al Walid with tickets? I'm not sure. What's your views? I mean, you're an expat. You're in Saudi. You try to get tickets for games. But how do you feel about this?
Good evening again from Champions League spot. Regarding the tickets, unfortunately, we didn't have the season ticket situation or system in Saudi Arabia, but I am familiar with it because I went to Newcastle and I noticed the issue there. As you lad says, it's this online thing. Everything now is online. Everything. is online now. So this makes sense, but sympathy for the guy, for the lad who have 43 years. He said that he doing this situation with the daughters and his family. So it must be some way around, some exceptional maybe, if possible. Because everybody busy and with the games, they would like to go with the families. Not as you said, Steve. It doesn't appropriate or it doesn't lovable that sit next to a stranger. So, but sometimes there is the positive and the negative. So, which is more achievable, or which is more happen if the positive more than the negative. So I think this is no way to escape this, and I hope this is change is to solve the problems, not making more problems. But I'm not really have much information about what the benefit of this.
Yeah, I mean, look, lots of comments coming in about this. You could do a whole show on this. Bill Burnett says, "Not sure you guys are being fair here. Passing tickets to relatives is nepotism. Other fans on the waiting list should be considered first." Yeah. Bill, it's an opinion. It's not what we're all collectively doing. But it's what a lot of people have done. You know what I mean? It's an opportunity. I'll take you back to when Mike Ashley and Steve Bruce had the club. There was 10,000 people. 10,000 empty seats, and people wouldn't buy the tickets off you. And now, because Newcastle have got a new owner and have been to a cup final and now in the Champions League, you couldn't get a ticket for love nor money. But there's always been that. Well, I'll just let my brother-in-law go, or I'll let my sister go, or I'll let my daughter come, because you pay for the ticket and you buy it in advance, and it's your ticket to do with what you want. There's that angle as well. I'm not saying what's right or wrong, Bill. What I'm saying is that ultimately this is the position we're in. To coin a phrase has said, maybe if we can register a particular person to go instead of you not being able to go, and enter their details officially onto your account, say up to 6 times a season. But this is what I mean. I don't know who they've discussed this with. I don't know who they've put the discussion in with. Where the ideas come from, who's put it into practice. Is it one of the new guys in position? I just don't know. But this will always cause a split amongst fans. There's no doubt about it. Sorry, who was trying to make a point there? Was it you, Steve?
Yeah, well, it's this situation I mentioned is the what if, because they've got to go through all the permutations. I know people where 2 brothers have bought a ticket between them, and it's in one of their names, but they take turns at matches, and that sort of thing probably goes on, and sometimes the chance of kids going instead of if you've got 2. A mother and father say have tickets, and then one of them cannot go, then maybe their child goes, and it's an opportunity for them to get in. This system won't allow that to happen.
Yeah, and Steve Middlemas, again, I'm not having a go at people who didn't go. Steve, the 10,000 people sacrificed their tickets trying to get Ashley out, so it's a bit unfair. People just got sick, mate. Yeah, sacrifice. I don't think they sacrificed them. They didn't know the takeover was coming, so they decided not to go. Some people decided, like myself and my dad and my brother, to stay and continue to pay the football club. You take your money, you take your chance. You pay your money, you take your chance. I'm not looking for... We're not point scoring on the platform, Steve. We're putting out different opinions, and that's what this platform's always been about, giving an opportunity for people to say what they want. So I'm not saying Steve, you're right, I'm not saying you're wrong. Yeah.
Steve, Neil and I used to go with 8 others, so that's like 10 of us used to go together. Mm-hmm. And we're now the only 2 left, because the others, one by one, said, I'm not giving Ashley another penny of my money, and I won't be back. I won't be back till he's gone. And they were really genuine. Now, some of them, one or 2 of the older ones can't go back for obvious reasons, but some of them would love to go back. But they accept. They did what they did because of Ashley, so they're stuck with it, and it's very, very difficult. I accept it's very difficult, but it's the way of the world, and you've hit it in a nutshell. If we weren't doing what we're doing, you'd get a ticket any time. Now, because it's all success, everybody wants one, and that's just the way of the world.
And I think Bill's saying I'm not talking about a single ticket, but people who've got multiple tickets, and that goes back to what Tell said before. But I think Bill, I don't think Tell has 4 tickets, 1 for him, 1 for his daughter, and 2 spare just to treat people. I think those tickets are that it's just the fact that they're under his name and his daughter's name. You know, it's just, you know, sometimes that's just the way things get registered and you don't change it. And that's what this email is all about today. If you've got other people who are on those tickets, change the details before the 31st of May. That's it. Go on, Mitch.
It's always gone on. And I know people who have 4 or 5 tickets run through their business, and they use it to entertain clients and take different people. What are they going to do? Because it's never been a problem until now, you know? And I'm talking about people who kept it going all the way through the Ashley years as well, who I suspect they used them to punish people. It's always a difficult situation when it comes to this. I had 2 season tickets at one point. I've talked about it on here. Didn't want them, didn't ask for them, got stuck with them because the box office was stupid. And kept them going for a little while, and then eventually it just made sense to give one of them up. But I can understand why families might have multiple tickets, but they might be in different names and different family members using them week in, week out, depending on who can go and who can't. There's a load of incidences where it's not about people hoarding tickets or being unfair. It is amazing though, you know, under McKeag, you could always get a ticket. Under the Pirate, you didn't struggle to get a ticket. But then under John Hall, suddenly everybody wanted a ticket. It was difficult to get tickets. And then it waned again under Ashley, and now we're back in this same position. It's a barometer of how well we're doing, the clamour for tickets. Why the club in such a hurry to do this? That's the thing that puzzles me. A bit like the cup ticket allocation. Why were they in a hurry to get such feedback on that and bring those in at 200 mile an hour? And that caused a little bit of ruffled feathers. So I want to know who from the ticketing side is wanting to do all of this at 200 mile an hour without necessarily just track record says they don't think they haven't thought it through, and suggests this isn't being fully thought through either because of, like Steve says quite openly, the what ifs. I could stick another 20 what ifs onto that list, and I'm sure we all could. And there'd all be valid reasons why somebody might this week be using a ticket and might next week not be using the ticket. And it does, here we are, at a time when we should be all rejoicing, some of those little wounds, which are really only still held together with sticking plasters, are starting to unfurl because everything hasn't healed yet. We need a period of healing on and off the pitch, which allows you to come together and understand why the club and people make decisions that they do. And we're all on a hair trigger ready to go at each other yet again because, because of this clamour for e-ticketing. Is it a Premier League directive being in, and are we so far behind every other club in the league that it's being brought in a hurry because all of a sudden we're going to have to comply with a system that's been coming for a while, but under the previous regime wasn't looked at, and under the current regime, they've only just been able to start looking at it, or something like that. Because we know whereby, the suggestion that the trust were given 2 hours to give feedback on the cup ticketing system, I think is shocking from both sides. To dress that up as full communications wrong, but the club were very wrong to do that. I think that's just outrageous from the club, really. And it's really very difficult now because I know it's all ready to kick off. And here we go. There's another one. If I'm going to the hospital for a month, I won't be able to attend the match. So does my seat stay empty? Can I pass it on to someone else? Does it just go into the mix on general sale because I register that I can't be there? Yeah. How do we work this one out? But like I say, I know people who've got multiple tickets through business, for example. I'd like to know how they're going to solve that conundrum when there's somebody different sitting in one of those seats nearly every week.
In complex financial transactions in relation to that as well, Mitch, because if that guy's missing 6 weeks, are they going to refund his money, and that'll not be
is he going to get a little bit of cash back? And you're right, mate. And here we go. We could sit and probably put a 200-point list together, and it sounds like that would blow the club's mind. And it's like, And we're at this position where everything's great and we're all pulling in the same direction, and we just don't need something else to damage that harmony at a time when we shouldn't even be talking about things that create more division.
Yeah, unfortunately, because the club's announced it, we've got to discuss it. So, yeah, we will wait and see. Stu, interesting debate. No right or wrong answer, I'm afraid. Your take on it?
Well, it looks like my joyous weekend celebrated with Mitch is going to get bogged down with political issues again. Just when I see some people coming up the chat, did I write that thing about I mentioned in the previous bit, sober or drunk? Yes, I was sober. And just to confirm, I did write it myself. I wasn't helped by George Colgan. Moving on. Did you say you went to Beyonce, Steve?
Yes, I made my New Year's resolution was to go and see music acts, even if I didn't know any of the songs. Big name acts that came to the Northeast. That was my New Year's resolution because I thought I wouldn't mind doing it. So I booked up some interesting events this year, like so far.
Where was
that
it?
Was
on?
one of them. The Stadium of Light.
Did you like it?
I listened from the garden.
Did I like what?
The concert. Did you like it?
It was all right, mate. Actually, yeah.
Should have put a ring on it. That took a while. Regarding the tickets, right? It's not Mike Ashley era. Sorry. To me, the club listens. They'll take your phone calls. They'll reply to emails. The rules are set. Everyone who's got a season ticket has received the email. This is what you need to do. But with every rule, there's always exceptions to the rules. So Mitch is right. We could have 200 different points of view, or probably 2,000 different points of view. My sister does this. My brother does that. My cousin does this. My friend has that. But if tickets are the way we can't keep just fighting for the sake of fighting. If that's the way forward, and that's the way the club's going to go, we just have to go with it. I mean, it's a bit naughty of them to wash a bit of bad news behind the good news. But ticket issue in the cup final proved that it's always going to be contentious, isn't it? There's always going to be debates and there's always going to be divides. But I mean, I'm not the most up to date with the computers and stuff like that. But let's say, Steve, for example, you have a season ticket, you've got your e-ticket on your phone, but you're not able to go, and I'm in Newcastle. Could you not send me that e-ticket and I can just scan in? Because they're not going to sit there or stand at the turnstiles and check everyone's passport, date of birth, home address, and everything else.
Yeah.
They'll just one ticket, one seat as it normally is anyway, but there won't be a payment ticket.
They said there's going to be more ID. They said they're going to be increasing the checks, though. That's what it says in it. That's why everyone's panicking, right? Because what it says is, let me go back to it. It has to match the ID. Here we go. Supporters must ensure the name and identity registered at the relevant season ticket account corresponds with the person using it to enter St James's Park next season. There will be heightened checks. That's why people are panicking.
Delayed kickoffs.
It's easy done, isn't it? They're not going to check 52,000 people, so you might get someone who's really unlucky. But again, if someone's like, as a chap mentioned there in the chat, that he was going for an operation, things like that, I'm sure will be taken into consideration. The club are on a massive, massive PR overdrive, and why would they want to spoil those under the whole fan base is under? To me, it's if anything to do, it can get picked to bits, and maybe it is social media. Because if we compare likes to likes, the last time we were in the Champions League, everything was rosy, wasn't it? Maybe history or time, you just end up remembering the good times and stuff like that. But this is a joyous occasion for Newcastle United. We should be celebrating. If the club want to say, right, we'll go e-tickets and we're going to be greener, which is now marked upon by the Premier League and stuff like that, we're going to be greener, then e-tickets it is. But as long as I have people on standby to cover, because there will be cock-ups somewhere along the line, there will be cock-ups. Someone's e-ticket won't work when it's genuinely their ticket. And as long as they've got people there who can take that into account, then it should go smoothly.
So I think moving forward, if you plan on having a baby or any children in the future, I think if you just call them all the same name, and I think that's probably the best bet. So we'll have loads of Johns, loads of Joannes, and
you're going to invent another Johnny Cash record, Steve. You know, my name is Sue.
That hour has passed quickly, lads. As always, absolute pleasure to speak to you. And I will be back, as always, tomorrow. Tends to be confirmed. But for now, Steve, enjoy the rest of your birthday week. Kevin, good to see you. And Kevin did put something in the chat. He says Silverstone is hiring 100 plus more staff for his department. So
Need a few more.
There will be big.
Didn't hear that from me, by the way.
Yeah, there will be big changes. There will be big changes. Well done as well. Thanks to George. Thanks to Albert. Thanks to Mitch. And thanks to Stu. Look forward to seeing you all soon.
Pleasure.
Take care, guys.
Good to see everybody.
Cheers, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Everybody.